All right, before we start today, let's go over a little moral chaos. So every gym's got rules, and then every gym's got people who just don't care and break those rules. So today, we're going to just do acceptable or unacceptable. So I'm just going to say something that goes on in gyms, and you guys tell me if it's acceptable or unacceptable. All right, first thing. Wes, a box of donuts left out in the lobby. Acceptable, unacceptable?
Acceptable.
Acceptable? All right, Blair, you want a box of donuts in your gym?
Unacceptable. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, okay, there we go. All right. What about someone brings their dog to the gym? Is that okay, Wes?
Yes.
Blair?
Acceptable.
All right, we like dogs, not donuts. Okay, okay. Well, someone wearing AirPods during class. Wes?
That's a freaking no rep. Absolutely not.
Hard no. Hard no. Blair?
Yeah. Unacceptable. Unless they're outside on a run or something.
Right. Sure. Okay. What about, when you program the 5K run, that way you have time to go take a deuce. All right. What about shoes off during the workouts? Wes, shoes off?
Totally acceptable. Absolutely.
Blair, shoes off?
You mean like if it's like a 1 rep max deadlift or something?
Anytime. Someone just comes to class, something's going, they just pop the shoes off.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Shirts off. Wes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Blair?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, us too. We have a pretty strict policy, actually. No shoes, no shirt, no problem. Like, I'm just glad you're here. You know,
I have that sign actually hanging up right over here.
Oh, do you?
No shirt, no shoes, no problem. I swear to God.
What about a weight belt, but with no shirt under? Oh, there it is. No shoes, no shirt, no problem. That's there's the sign. That's my motto, man. In fact, I'll tell you what, when it comes like mowing the lawn, if it's sunny outside and my neighbor's wearing a shirt, then I've got a problem. You got to pop the top if you're out there, cutting okay. A weight belt with no shirt under. Wes, you okay? Fine. Yeah, Blair?
Yeah, you're saying like the guy took his shirt off and then put a weight belt on afterwards because it's got heavy. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. What about playing explicit music during class? Wes?
Yeah, it's fine.
Playing. All right, Blair?
That's a no-go for us.
I figure as long as the Pandora station is on the edited channel, but something slips through the cracks, that's not up to me. You know what I mean? That's how we roll with it.
Accidents happen, but there's also like deliberate hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Oh my God.
All right. What about playing Britney Spears as your workout music? Wes?
If it's part of the reel, then it's part of the reel. It's all good. As long as it's a vibe, then it's a vibe.
Blair, Britney Spears radio, is that what you're listening to during your heavy lifts?
Yeah, I got no problem with Britney. Let's go.
All right, there we go. So every gym has its quirks, but that's what makes it culture. With me today, two guys who have seen every version of gym culture. We have Blair Morrison, 3-time CrossFit Games athlete, NorCal Classic event boss, and tell Ben I said that, and owner of multiple gyms because one culture problem isn't enough. And Wes Piatt, CrossFit redshirt, Games athlete, affiliate owner, coach of coaches. I'm Danny Lehr from Caffeine and Kilos, gym owner, coffee dealer, and your friendly moderator who's going to ask your opinion and then tell you that you're wrong. Okay, so we want these people to get in your heads a little bit more, see how you think. And so just some quick no judgment questions here just to see how you think so people can kind of know who they're going to believe on things. We'll go with Blair first. Blair, squats or deadlifts? Which one's a better exercise?
Squats.
Oh, Wes?
The answer is depends.
No, not depends. Better exercise, squats or deadlifts? You got to do it. Squats. Okay. We don't care about picking anything up off the ground. Interesting. Blair, how often do you wear sunglasses inside?
Only if I have a migraine headache. And
okay. Wes, you wear sunglasses inside?
I have pretty sensitive eyes, so I do pretty often actually.
Oh man.
I'm that guy.
Oh dude. Blair, do you ever throw up during workouts? When's the last time you threw up during a workout?
Oh man, I think it was actually when I was in college. We did a class, it was a every minute on the minute for 30 minutes. The first 15 exercises were upper body. The second 15 exercises were lower body, and it was all a minute, as many reps as you can do. And I threw up in the breezeway.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wes, when's the last time you threw up in a workout?
Oh man, it's been a long time, but it was a workout with bear crawls in it. That's all I remember. And then bear crawling out the door and throwing up on the grass.
Yeah, it's been a long, it's probably been 10 years for me, but it's like
Yeah.
intervals. It's a workout where it's intervals. Man, those like Barbara,
Mm.
like those things just jack me up every time. All right. Blair, when's the last time you pooped your pants during a workout?
That's never happened.
Never happened, Wes. You ever poop your pants during a workout?
I thought I did one time, and I even told my friend, I said, I think I pooped my pants, and he was like, it's cool, let's go. And we kept going. And luckily afterwards I checked, it was all good. It was just a wet fart. We were all right.
Yeah, see, that's tricky because one time I thought I did, and I like went to check. I like started to put my hand behind my back, and I was like, "Wait a minute," because what if you're right? That's not how you want to find out, you know. Nope. And so I had to, but I realized early, just go in the bathroom and figure it out from there. All right, there we go. Now that we know everybody's honesty level and digestive risk tolerance, we could talk about something a little more serious here, or get into the culture side of the gym. First thing about culture in the gym is let's talk about rep shavers, right? So every gym's got one, the rep shaver, the person lying about their score. They finish Fran before the music hits the chorus and they claim a PR. Or they somehow their AMRAP ended sooner than everybody else's. So my question is, do you care? Like, do you call it out? Do you ignore it, or just let karma handle the scoreboard? Wes, what do you think about rep shavers?
Yeah, I care. Absolutely. There's a standard that needs to be upheld, not just for ego purpose, but actually to make sure they're getting better and getting results. So yeah, I care.
What do you do? Like if you think someone, maybe it's at the end of the workout, but you're looking at it and you're like, dude, there is no way that they beat this person's score by 30 calories or whatever's going on, right? Do you address it then, or how do you address it if you think it's going down, if you don't have tolerance for it?
We've only had it happen a couple times, and I dealt with it different both times. The first time I just asked the person, I'm like, hey, make sure you're finishing your reps. And it didn't feel good to me. It felt really like confrontational, and the person didn't really appreciate it. They were like, I don't do that. And I was like, okay, it's cool if you don't, I just been hearing it other place, and it was bad. It just wasn't a good conversation. Mm-hmm. So what I did the next time was I just would watch the person, and when they would go to move on, I'd be like, oh, hey, 2 more, almost there. I just watched, you got 2 more. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And they'd run back over and do 2 more. And I think honestly, most of the time they thought they were honestly done, and they were just spacing out during the workout,
For sure. It's a thing where I've been like partnering with somebody on a workout and I'm counting their reps and they're supposed to do 10 and they stop after like 9. Yeah. And I'm like, well, they're not doing it on purpose for sure. In that situation, totally. You know what I mean? But then there's other times where for sure someone's doing it, right? Blair, how do you feel about rep shavers? You make it a big stink, or you just figure like, hey man, they're here to work out, I'm just glad they're here?
I mean, so this is really an interesting question, because it does go to the heart of your culture, right? So usually what happens in our gym is that the members notice, or some of the other coaches notice, and they get really pissed off about it. Like irrationally pissed off about it, because our class is not qualifying for the CrossFit Games, or it's not even the open. If it's the open, it's something different, obviously, because everybody's getting a judge and everything like that. But they're irrationally upset because there's this sense of meritocracy in the gym, right? Everybody's working hard. We're all doing this for the right reasons, and we're not trying to like cheat to have our score on the board better than somebody else, because that's lame. But it happens. And I think it happens both ways that you guys are talking about, where some people are just bad counters, and then other people they are just like too competitive for their own good, that they really just want to have a good score. So this has happened a lot of times with, I would say probably at least, maybe 10 times with different people. Where it's
maybe you're just a better counter than Wes is.
Probably.
So my first reaction to this is to like try to quell the rebellion of the members and the coaches that are upset about it, and try to like refocus them on what their priority should be, which is their work and their reps, not somebody else's. Like that's a kind of like an important distinction to make. Like the reason you're here is not to worry about what somebody else is doing.
Right.
That being said, there is a standard, and they want to see something done about it to make sure that all the things that we preach are being, heard by all. And so what I'll do is I'll stand next to the person, kind of like Wes is saying, and I'll count their reps out loud,
Yeah.
but in like in an encouraging way.
Right.
And I find that if you do that in the beginning of the workout, someone who's a bad counter gets better, and you don't have to be there the whole time, because they just right there, right away, they just know somebody's paying attention, right?
Yep.
If it comes to the whiteboard and somebody's giving me like an incorrect score, I will never challenge it. I will always just write up what they put, because like Wes said, like if you challenge somebody's integrity in front of them, they're going to get so defensive and it's not going to go good. So if they say RX and I know that they never touch their chest to the bar, I'm writing RX on the board, because that's not a battle that's worth fighting for me as the owner.
Well, what you mentioned of people getting upset is that's the thing, is people tend to get, but then I realized, well, they haven't been doing this as long as you have. Right. And like, I don't get mad about it. Right. But like some people really do, but also I'm not saying I never did when I was, younger, not even, maybe it has to do with being younger as much as just not as experienced, coaching and doing CrossFit and that type of thing. Right. Like I think it bothered me more than it does now. But so it's funny when you mentioned standing next to someone and counting. We had a coach, Nick, and he knew this guy was like not getting his reps done, right? And was going. And so he did exactly that. Or like the guy goes to run and he's like supposed to be 20 push-ups or something. And he's like, hey, that was only 16. And like the guy's like, oh, sorry, right? And came back and did the other 4 and then like went on the run. And then he goes and stands right by where this guy's doing his push-ups, right, for the next round. He's sitting there and the guy does 10 and starts to get up. And Nick's like, hey, that's only 10. And the guy's like indignant. He's like, what? And Nick like loses it. He yells at it. He's like, you think I can't count to 10?
Oh, God.
And,
oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, my God. But it was like also hilarious because like totally like, one, you only did half. Like he knew it was 20. It's not like he didn't know the workout. But like when he was so like mad about it, it's like, yeah, you think this guy isn't able to count to 10? Like you think he was off by like half of what he was counting of your reps? I know, pretty funny. But I'm at the point now where I think of, I don't want people to do it. And I think there is a conversation we had with someone who is doing it from a standpoint of other people get really upset about it, but it doesn't really make me mad. Ever since I read the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, there's something she talks about in there. There's a study she references where you can just make kids lie about their scores or make them cheat on tests. And essentially what they did was they would, and I might get this slightly wrong, but the gist is there, is they, 2 groups of students, they gave the test to a group. Anyway, one group, they came in and said, hey, the group before you that took this, they found it was really challenging, but and they most of them only got about half right, and then, but it was a pretty easy test, right? And so the kids, averaged whatever, like 80% or something. And then they asked them for their scores out loud before they graded them. Like the kids didn't know they're going to turn them in necessarily. Next group, they said, hey, here's a test. This thing, piece of cake. Last group that did it, everyone got 80%, no problem whatsoever. So here you go. You shouldn't have any issues with this. And in that group, like something crazy, like 30% of the kids lied about their scores. Right. Whereas in the first group, none of them did. And so, and these are like same kids, whatever, it's same schools, as close to the same as you can get. Right. And so it's like, man, just by how you preface this test, they got some kids to lie about their scores, which made me real. And the whole point of that it was the mindset of these kids going into it. Right. Did they understand that like all you can do is what you do and just do the best and that's acceptable? Or do they think that they're lesser than, whatever, there's some need to place higher, because they feel like they're not sufficient or whatever's going on. Right. So that just kind of made me realize like we're all just older kids. And so when people are lying about their scores, like it's got nothing. I think people in the gym get mad because they think it's about them. Oh, they just want to beat me. They think they're better than me, whatever. Right. And I realized that I think it's the exact opposite is what's going on. I think that person who lies about their score doesn't give a shit about you, that they themselves feel inadequate and like they're missing something and they're just lying about, they're not doing it for you, that they're doing it for them. Right. Like something happened in their life or something's going on in their life or whatever. They have this learned behavior that if they can't fathom perceiving themselves as lesser than these other people for whatever reason. And so in their mind, subconsciously, like they just lie about their scores or whatever, or shave the reps and that type of stuff if someone's in front of them and beating them, because they're going through something and they just, they need a little help there. So
yeah, they want to boost the ego a little bit, feel better about themselves.
They need a little ego boost for whatever reason that is, right? Or maybe they don't need the ego boost. They just can't handle the ego hit that they would perceive.
Yeah, either or, for sure. Yeah.
Which the next step would be actually like, well, your ego should have nothing to do with your workouts. It's just a workout. It's just a score. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not about you. It's just about exercise, right? Yeah. It doesn't make you better or lesser or anything depending on your score. Blair, you mentioned the whiteboard. So you go old school whiteboard still into class, stand up there. Everyone says their score and you write it down.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. What about you, Wes?
Hell yeah.
Oh, damn it. See, we use SugarWOD, which is great. But I'll tell you what we don't do. We don't write the names on the board. No, thumbs down.
You got to.
Come on, man. You got to have accountability that you were here that day. And there's like the result. Boom.
Well, they log it on there. They log it on the app.
Nobody opens apps. Everybody hates apps, man. They'll walk up and look at a whiteboard though.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. Our people love it, man. Anyway.
We take a picture of the whiteboard at all of our gym locations and we post it on a Facebook group so people can compare between gyms. They like the picture. They like zooming in. We'll circle like the top score on the board for each location. I don't know. I think there's something about writing it up there. I just don't like an extra excuse to look at my phone. So
yeah, that's
maybe
so true.
Something there. Interesting. I will say that sometimes when we vacation up in the hills, I like drop into CrossFit Sonora. They're in a great gym up there. Good job, CrossFit Sonora. And they use the whiteboard. And I do like that. You know what I mean? I like seeing my name at the top of that thing.
Yeah.
But or wherever it lands, right?
The ego boost there.
Dude, it's always at the top because if
He's
it's not going to be, I just lie
at CrossFit Sonora for like 10 years.
Dude, if it's not going to be at the top, I just lie about my score. And so then it's like, it gets there anyway. Anyway, but I will say there is something to like the end of class, like last few minutes, like calling out names, writing down the scores. Like it is kind of nice. But then also it's because I'm not a member of that gym. So like if they do log in an app, then I'm not able to do that. Whereas if I was a member there, I would. I don't know. Interesting.
We do both. I mean, like we write it on the board and we encourage them to put it in the app because we'll benchmark a lot of stuff in the app so we can go back and look at it later, and have data. But yeah, we do both.
Man. All right. Well, earlier, Blair had also mentioned the open, right? So the open's always coming up. Right? Like I feel like every time I turn around, it's almost time for the open again, right? Like right now, I feel like it's coming up, but it's still like 5 months away, right? Everybody just feels like it's always upon us. What do you guys do, and does it relate to your gym culture? Do you push the open? Do you try and get as many people as possible signed up? Do you just kind of not care?
Well, first of all, when you just said the open's always coming, do you guys remember that year when the open was in October, when it was in the fall?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How weird that was.
Yeah. Wasn't that the first year Rosa took over?
Yeah, it was. I don't know what the year that was, but it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our gym, this has been different over depending on, I don't know, maybe where we're at as a business, how hard we push the open. We definitely participate in it every year. And there's a good chunk of people that are like every single year are qualifying for the next stage so that the gym kind of rallies around them. Whether or not, I push it, it kind of depends on where CrossFit is.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Company. Yeah. So this past year, we pushed it more than the few years before that. And I think some of that also is we've done NorCal Classic now for the last 7 years. And so we go hard on that online qualifier in January. And so ever since that's been happening, I feel like the open, we don't put as much energy into it.
Sure.
Because a lot of the athletes have just done an online competition. But for some of them, it actually serves to pique their appetite.
Right.
So this year, we're going to push the open pretty hard because I feel good about what's happening at CrossFit right now. And like I want more of our athletes to be trying to go to quarterfinals and, just to participate deeper into the season, especially the scaled people. And I don't know. There was a time when we used to do an inter gym competition where we had
Yeah.
like almost like a fantasy draft, and coaches had teams, and the open scores were how they got, points. And but now we haven't done that for a while just because of the effort. It's a lot of effort
Yeah.
to organize multiple things in a year. So I would say we are always in the top 10% of gyms participation wise. But our whole year does not revolve around it.
Wes, how do you feel about the open? Do you care about it at all?
I care about it a lot. I see it as my litmus test or my test for myself. Like, am I keeping my members healthy? Because it's like such a big pool of people we get to pull from and see where they stack around the world. So I really love that part of it for myself. But I feel the same way as with Blair. We have a thing we do every year called the Unity Games. It's in November. So it feels like that's pretty close to February. And to get them to like, all right, now it's time for another competition thing. It's like, instead we just go, hey, this is actually as the owner, this is my test to see if I've been doing my job keeping you guys healthy around the world. So if you could sign up so that I can see if I'm doing my job, that would be appreciated. And that seemed to, over the last couple of years with that narrative, been actually really beneficial to getting people to sign up. Instead of it being like another competition, let's get
Yeah.
after it. It's more like, let's see if Wes is doing his job, and we get people signed up that way.
Yeah.
You
And
know, the
then
other thing,
that's
Danny, I
interesting.
forgot to mention is when they went from 5 weeks to three,
Yeah,
that makes it a lot easier.
totally. I
So
agree.
nice.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. Wes, that's an interesting standpoint on it too, is like tell them like, hey, let's see, like, where'd you stack up last year on your worldwide ranking and where are you at this year? Right. Are you getting better or worse? And how's maybe the programming have an effect on that or whatever, right? Or just maybe leaving those donuts in the lobby is, starting to cause an issue with your chest bar pull-ups in the gym.
Our balance goes like this at our gym. We have a drinking team,
Yeah,
like it's a
that's
coast range
right. That's
drinking
right.
team, and they're
Yeah,
legit. Like,
Captain Donovan. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Tarps off, baby.
Yeah.
And so I preach at the level ones and level twos about this, to like, hey, your environment matters. But to us, that is the environment we want to have. We want people to be able to enjoy themselves and to know what it means to get back on track and how to do that. And also to be able to look at things and say no.
Right.
Right. Like, it's in my environment and I can say no. I don't need to absolutely abstain from things. Like, I'm able to have mental toughness to overcome these things too, I think is really important.
Something Blair mentioned that I wanted to talk about was actually next on my list here is the internal teams, right? So there's different ways some gyms set up like an internal competition. I went actually one gym nearby here. They actually set up like, like different, team blue and team red. And they like, in the last week they like bring out, they make like banners, like it's a high school pep rally and they're up there with their banners up. And that was pretty rad to see. So yeah, is that something you guys do? Or maybe Blair, you kind of mentioned you used to. I don't know if Wes, you do anything like that. And if so, how do you feel about as far as, gym culture and the whole thing is, the idea of, because I have this idea, really, I just want your guys' input on it, is if I do teams this year, is it a better idea or more interesting to do like an AM versus PM, right? Like you split it and say, okay, the morning crew versus the afternoon crew, right? Is that a fun community builder, or am I just setting up a social civil war, right? Do you think like mixing those teams would be better? Blair, you have experience doing it. Maybe you can give some insights on what you did and what you liked or didn't like. I'd also like to hear maybe Wes, you go first. Do you break them up and kind of do internal competition of teams, or is it just kind of like sign up and let it rip?
And we actually just did this in June. We had every class go against each other on a weeks long series of tests that we did, and then we gave a big old trophy with their name on it and everything, saying who won. And the
Nice.
7 a.m. class won it, and it was great. Honestly, it was a lot of camaraderie within the gym, and people were like, even 5:30 a.m. decided that they were going to do theme weeks, and every week they showed up dressed as a new theme. And none of us said to do that at all. It was just
Yeah.
because they were like, no, we are going to win as a class. So I think it was great.
Blair, what you mentioned kind of doing some teams before. Do you split it by time of day, or do you? I've also heard of people doing it by ability. Kind of trying to break them up, pick, setting teams up to be more cross section of the gym more. What have you done? What worked? What didn't work? So on.
We've never done it by ability, but we've done it fantasy draft style where you have anybody is available from any time of day. I don't think that worked as well as breaking it up by,
It's like schoolyard dodgeball.
yeah. And not even for that reason, because we would score, if you're in the scale, your score could be
Right.
better than the RX score. So a
Sure.
lot of times it was like strategic to draft somebody who was in a certain age group, who you knew was going to place well. But that it worked better when the AM people were on the same team, because they came to class with this additional layer of bonding, and I think the civil war within the gym is actually good for culture, because with most of these adults, nobody's saying anything like personally mean. They're just like talking
Yeah.
shit in a good
Yeah.
way. And like that helps the energy. We do something for NCC, or we used to do it for NCC, but then it became too much. Now we do this thing, we call it Spirit Week, where the gyms are competing against each other, not for scores in the workout, but for like spirit within like these different themed categories. And they make videos, or they do like a picture, and the themes can be, I mean, they're so crazy. Some of them is like, it's like a Walt Disney theme one week or one day. And then another time it's been like decades, and they just get so creative. And then we have this voting process that everybody, I mean, it's just a different thing for them to remember, throughout the year. And then they go do their
Right.
workout. Right. So
Yeah.
I definitely think it's worth it. I think it's great to get adults to quote unquote play a little bit and laugh and
Totally.
have fun, because they don't do that in their normal jobs typically. So the gym can be this not only this like fitness refuge, but it's also this fun refuge,
Yeah.
like getting them to do those kind of things, I think is really good.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Kind of like the teamwork idea, right? And kind of like Wes talking about their thing in June. Also, it's like getting people on the same board, being teams, working together. And what you're saying about adults is really interesting, because it's like when you do play games in the warm up, like you do a little pizza game with the ab mats, or you do some quick stick, whatever. Like, dude, people are locked in. They're smiling. They're laughing. We actually did dodgeball last week for the first time. It's probably like a year. It's funny. Someone asked. It was just a heavy squat day, and that was it. It was like, we did a few anyway. It was this 1 rep max type thing, and so we're gonna have a little bit of time. We knew it, and Bud was gonna do some stretching and stuff. And someone said early, like before class, they're like, "Hey, we haven't played dodgeball in a long time." He just goes, "Oh, it's funny you say something. We are today." And so it was like, dude, 1 rep max squats, and then the last 10 minutes of class was dodgeball. It was great. Like people loved it, and everyone laughed, sweating and smiling.
Yeah.
And so
There you go.
that idea of playing as an adult. Well, something else that you mentioned as an adult is the idea of being on a team. Like some people at work might have some semblance of that, but it's not the same. Like, playing sports and stuff, like the best part of playing organized athletics is being on a team. You're in this together. You're going for this thing together. You're supporting one another because you have a common goal and a common purpose. And that you see, I coached my daughter's soccer team this last year, and it's like watching, and that's what I used to do, right? When I taught PE, I coached high school sports, but like watching these girls, like the way that their relationships changed over the course of a 10-week season. These kids have never met each other. By the time the 10 weeks is up, they're like, whatever, like arms around each other, walking to practice, they just turn into close friends. It's a short time. Like, why would you not want that with your gym, right? Why would you not want your 6:30 a.m. class to all be closer together, right? My thought of splitting them is like, then what you get is the opposite. You get, if we got red team, blue team, they're both working out at 6:30. You might get some of that, fun shit talk going on. But I think you're right. I think having them all rowing in the same direction, you probably get more out of that from bringing, a perspective of bringing the gym together and community. So.
Another thing that's good about not only the game warm-ups, where there's like, if you have like two teams against each other, you're forcing people to like interact with each other in a different way that they may try to avoid during the workout. So I've noticed it where we'll do like handball or something.
Right.
There's two teams and you're constantly passing a ball to another person.
Yeah.
And then two people that didn't know each other, then they decide later that week to be partners on a partner workout.
Right.
Like it just took that, that permission to like, oh yeah, we've done
interact
something together before. I don't have to like break this ice with you. And I mean, it's just really healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the exact opposite. Every coach has one. The member who seems great on person or is great in person for a while and then turns out to be an issue, right? Maybe they're having whatever's going on in their life, they're bringing to the gym with them. And maybe they decide they're unhappy with something and are telling other people about how terrible something is that you're doing, or perhaps they are kind of mean sometimes when they start working out or whatever, right? So have you ever had to let someone go? Have you fired a client for the sake of culture? Wes, what you have any experience with this?
Yeah, a couple. Yep. Very awkward and has to be done. But most of the time, the person's like actually ready to go anyways. You're like, hey, I don't think this is working out. Obviously, my coaching style isn't working with your style, and I think it'd be better if you found a new gym. And they're like, yeah, I think so too, most of the time. So it's like, all right, cool, great.
Yeah.
Why were you hanging around then? And they're like, I don't know, you have my CDs, so I got to get those back. And I'm like, okay, here you go, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. Like with employees, right? Like the whole thing. When you have to fire someone, if anyone is surprised, then that's your failure as a leader to begin with, right? Like there shouldn't be any. No one should be surprised when you're letting them go.
They know they're not
Right.
meeting expectations, right? Yeah.
Blair, you have any experience firing people, kicking them out of the gym?
I was trying to think. I've definitely had conversations with members. We have like an asshole clause in our contract, a member contract.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which just basically says, if you're disrespectful, if you're being a jerk, like you can be asked to leave. And I feel like I've had 2 or 3 conversations with members about just general conduct. I don't think I've ever had to fire a member. I've had to fire 2 coaches. I mean, that's awkward too. I mean, those are just not fun conversations. But I think, I don't think I've actually had to fire a member. Usually you kind of like bring it to their attention what's happening. And like Wes said, they're probably going to leave on their own if it's something they don't agree with. But I know for a fact in one instance, I had somebody who was basically putting people off because of their sense of humor. Like he was being
Right.
too familiar with like his sarcasm, and people are like, man, this guy's just a and like I'm like, I kind of know what he's trying to do, and it's just not landing. And like, okay, listen, new people, don't just give them the full you yet. Like just, like just be a little like softer about it, like and like that he responded, and he made the adjustment, and that was fine. But
You just pretend like new people are like 7-year-olds.
yeah.
And then like after you've known them for 3 to 6 months, then they can be an adult. You can treat them like one. But like, pretend like that new person is actually someone brought in their grandma, and their grandma's like treat them like they're somebody's mother for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Kind of awkward is one time somebody quit and caused kind of a stink on the way out, meaning like they quit and 1 or 2 other people did at the same time, and that they sowed that dissent, and it was kind of like this thing. And then like 8 months later wanted to come back, and that was an interesting decision then as well. It's like, okay, well, this person, I don't mind they quit. People got things going on. People quit sometimes, right? But like the way it happened wasn't great, and then now they want to come back. What do you do, right?
That's tricky.
I let him back. I let the person back. It was because it was also very clear that they realized that they, you know what I mean? They kind of like got the full picture a little bit more and understood. And since actually they've been a model client. Oh, they were with us for like 8 years. It was kind of weird the way things went down. They've been great since they've been back. So it wasn't like, and however, if it was someone who was an ongoing problem, and maybe there's a conversation or whatever type thing, but it's just like a really weird 3 months, then they quit. And then a year later it's like, hey, I made a mistake. I understand, whatever. Is it cool? So anyway, what actually builds culture, right? Is it the coaching style? Is it having events? Is it playing games? But what can you teach culture, or is it just something you model until it sticks? Wes, what do you think?
Man, what a great question. Man, I believe I've taught culture in our gym, and because we've gone through a couple shifts for sure where it felt like maybe there was getting kind of clicky, and I had to like send out some blog posts about what we are, and that we're not a clique, and that we want to be inclusive, and we want to include everybody, and talk about it at the whiteboard, and whatever else, and make jokes about it here and there. And so, like, yeah, I think you can teach it and kind of move it where you need it to go, but you got to have your finger on the pulse all the time, for sure, because it can get away from you pretty quick, especially if you have a few strong personalities in the gym that are coaches or other members. I think it's up to you as the head of honcho or whatever it is to make sure that culture is always there every day, for sure.
Blair, one other thing on that for you is, you've got the, I don't even call it advantage or a challenge of with multiple gyms, right? Mm-hmm. So do you try to make them all the same, or do you let each location grow its own personality?
Oh, definitely let each location grow its own personality. I think that, well, there's some advantage to having multiple locations as far as like systems go, and you can share some of the workload, but between programming and coaching and stuff like that. And events, it makes it a lot better because you have more people and more energy for events. I think you're trying to force like replication of one heartbeat into another community is just not going to work. So I really agree with Wes from the sense that the leader sets the tone of the culture, almost like builds the atmosphere, and then you have to let the gym itself grow into that atmosphere. Like whatever the parameters are that you're going to set for it, those have to be firm and solid and consistent. But you have to give it room to grow within that, right? So I think a good example is, and for CrossFit gyms, people decide whether they're going to be competitive or not competitive.
Yeah.
That becomes an identity of the gym. And it can be a very dangerous identity because, like Wes is saying, if you do this the wrong way, you're going to have basically a divided membership. You're going to have people that are doing separate programming, kind of working out on their own. And then you're going to have like your typical GPP class. And those two populations may not commingle often enough for them to feel like one unified body. And that's just, even though it's not intended, it sows resentment between groups, right? You have like your tribe and you have the other.
Yeah.
And I saw this a lot early on before we all kind of knew better, like what's the real way to like kind of sustain a culture that's healthy. And so I think that the parameters have to be set by the leader of the gym. Like, hey, how are we going to handle this issue of competitiveness? Are we going to let people have like separate, like a CrossFit Mayhem, for example, they have an entirely separate gym space for competitors. And then the rest of the gym space is for like drop-ins and people taking class. And there's like gazillion things going on at that place, and it's massive, but that's how they handle it. Like they keep them almost like segregated. At our gym, our policy is that unless you take class that day, you can't do open gym during class. So if like you say you want to come in and do some extra squats or Olympic lifting, like that's cool, but you have to take class also. And that keeps you as part of the collective, part of the group. And then people are looking, they work out alongside you, and then they're like, oh, well, what's like Jason doing over there that's extra? Like maybe I can do that, because we do the same thing still.
Yeah.
But trying to force the way members interact with each other, trying to establish the same exact like coaching methods, like down to like the style of speech, like that, those things are things you can't control. That's like micromanaging. It doesn't work. I don't think you have to give each place its ability to be somewhat independent.
Yeah. I think, mentioning the coaching aspect there, how you got to kind of let it happen or to a degree, like micromanaging. I think you kind of set guidelines and expectations for results, but people have to be themselves, right? If the coach ultimately isn't having a good time or feeling like they can't be themselves, then they're not going to be nearly as good. Like the best coach might be someone who has a completely different personality than you. But if they are okay with being themselves in front of groups of people, then the people in class will always have a good time, And as far as that goes, and kind of two things on this real quick. One is, Wes talking about the leader of the gym and all that. And it's maybe the best compliment I've ever gotten, myself and Buddy, is I just thought of this. It was a couple weeks ago, someone said it. They said, hey, I just love it here because everybody they work hard, but everybody's so nice and like happy to see you. And it's like, and I realized that just everybody here is kind of like you and Bud. And I was like, oh man, like that's great, but that's how it is. Like I've also dropped into gyms where everybody is maybe a little bit whatever harder you'd want to stay, and a lot of times the owner of that gym, that's their personality. If the owner of your gym is, perhaps whatever was in the Marines for 20 years, he might have a little bit different personality than the guy who whatever is only taught CrossFit or used to, whatever, like different life experiences, different personalities. And you're probably going to attract those people, which is why if another CrossFit gym opened up next door to me, I wouldn't be upset about it because they're not going to have the same culture. And that's not mean they're going to be worse. They're going to be different. Like some people would rather go there because they relate to that, those people more. And some people would rather come to us.
Man, before the pandemic, we had 3 gyms in Gilroy, and it was awesome because we were all completely different. You had the moms club over here, you had the functional bodybuilder club over here, and then you had us, and we were like CrossFit, right? And It was great. We had people come in. We actually, all 3 of us would tell everybody about each other. A new member came in, we'd be like, hey, make sure you go check out CrossFit Gilroy and you go check out CrossFit Mora too before you decide which one you want to join, because really we want you to find the place that you want to go to, right, and get the actual results.
Yeah, totally.
And then Danny, what you're talking about with stylistic differences with ownership, it made me think of, so we've taken over a couple of CrossFit gyms in the last year, and like talk about like a culture shift. And like one's not necessarily better than the other. Like you're saying, it's just like the personality follows the personality of the owner. One of them, CrossFit Centurion, Ian Carver was the owner, and he's a sheriff, an absolute like badass, like legend on the SWAT team. And like all the, I walked into that gym and like all of this stuff is like, check your ego at the door. Like I'm going to die in a pile of brass. It's like, just like,
no one's wearing tie-dye. No one's wearing tie-dye.
No tie-dye. Like the opposite of tie-dye. It is like very hardcore, like very structured programming. Like they always would like bench on Monday, deadlift on Wednesday, squat on Friday, Tuesday, Thursday was Olympic lifting, no gymnastics. Like everything was like very like strict, organized, and hardcore, right? As far as like, wasn't a lot of games being played, right? Yeah. And so then we came in and my personality is a little bit different than that. And like, so it took a while for things to like turn over there. And I thought it was a good example of how much momentum culture has and like how hard it is to build and how long it takes. Cause it probably took 2 years before that. I mean, before that things kind of felt, the way they feel now. Now that gym, that particular gym location is like the bubbliest. There's like little kids running around all over the place. It's like it's like an Easter egg hunt in there all the time. Yeah, you never would know that it was the same space.
It's one of those things also where this is why like oftentimes homegrown coaches, tend to be better in my experience than ones from the outside. That's not always true. We do have a couple coaches. Actually, we have like 3 or 4 now, but they came in with a ton of experience, right? And so they came in with a ton of experience, but all of them joined the gym first. None of them showed up and said, hey, I want to coach. They moved, and it was funny. This one individual she moved out, and I was in the first class she was in or whatever. She's like, oh, it's like dropping in to see about whatever. And I was like, oh, this girl moves really well. Like this, she's not just like, oh, I've done CrossFit. Like this girl knows what the she's doing.
I videoed myself.
And then it's this person. And then she's joined, her husband joined. And then I found out she had her level 1, used to coach a little, whatever, or that she used to coach a little. And then we're looking to hire a coach. And she's like, oh, so I actually have my kid cert and my level 2. And I was the manager at my other. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This is all right. I said, okay, coach my 4 o'clock today. And she's like, okay. And like, she didn't know anybody. She don't, in that time, like, cause she never went to that time of day. So she like showed up, didn't know a single person. It was a busy class. There was like 18 people, and she absolutely crushed it. And I'm like, okay, wow. Boom. Right. But I've also had the experience where someone's like, oh, I'm looking to coach, but they didn't join first. There's like, hey, I'm looking to coach. Oh, we might actually have something. We could put you on as a sub for a little bit. Like, come coach this class. And it's like, oh, nope. like this person needs a lot of work,
Mm,
you know? But anyway, but from within the gym, they always seem to do, in my opinion, a good job. It's like, well, yeah, because they coach like we do. They coach like all of our coaches kind of have the same, it's a good time, but we do hold standards, like not good enough is not good enough, right? It really comes back to this idea of being harsh versus being real. Like there's like the Stoics, right? Had this idea that no virtue was a virtue by itself, right? And so, like honesty without kindness is actually cruelty, and then kindness without honesty is manipulation, right? So like that's your job as a coach, is to ride that line, man. Like don't be mean to them, but like hold them to the standard. Like if you don't hold them to the standard, then you're just manipulating them. Like that's not helpful. But being mean also is not helpful, right? And
you got to be relentless, but also acknowledge improvement.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's definitely a big part of the culture. Maybe some gyms have a different outlook on that. So Buddy's my next door neighbor. Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah, my partner in the gym, for people who don't know Buddy, he lives right next door to me, and so his kid goes to the same school. So I text him earlier. I'm like, dude, can you pick up Nora for school today? All right,
you guys are intertwined everywhere,
dude. There's a gate between our backyards. The kids just like go between the houses.
I remember you showing that a long time ago. You were like in his hot tub or something, like sending me a photo.
Yeah. So one thing Blair and I started talking about a little bit before you hopped on, Wes, it's kind of in the same coaches and culture idea, is coaches shirts. And so you came in the middle of the conversation. Now you guys mentioned your coaches do not have to wear coaches shirts. And Blair, I'll let you talk a little bit about it, but you just mentioned that, you don't necessarily want to enforce it.
Yeah. We've done this like a few times where we'll do like a special run of gym shirts with coach on the back, or like a sweatshirt, like special edition with like it written across the hood. And coaches always love that stuff. It's really cool to see them wearing it. But I remember as a personal trainer at a big box gym.
Yeah.
On the East Coast, and I have to wear like, my polo every day, and it's a uniform, and that's all well and good. The problem I always ran into is if I do more than just give it to them as a gift and I require them to wear it, now I'm responsible for enforcing it. And I couldn't come up with a good way to enforce that I could enforce it, because eventually someone's not going to wear it because either it's dirty or they don't want to do it.
Yeah. And what's the punishment, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to fire them. Like I would have lost my job as a personal trainer because, they don't need me. They didn't give a shit about me. Like,
right.
I don't wear the uniform, you're gone. Like, that's fine. That's like the ultimate, the rock and the hard place point where like something's got to give. And like, I'm not going to do that. Like, and they know I'm not going to do that. So what's the point of me requiring it? There's no way I could enforce it. So the best I could do is continually provide them things that they like that say coach and hope that they wear it. And that's kind of like where I landed.
Wes, why do you not do it? Are you like Dutch Bros? Or are you just too hippie to make people wear a uniform? Or is there a greater message in there?
No, I think it's the exact same thing that Blair talked about. Like we have some stuff that says coach on it, and we like doing that every once in a while. And, if they wear it, it's great. And, but I kind of like the idea of like walking in and not knowing who's the coach and not knowing who's a member. And instead just having it be like, oh, this is the coach because of the way that they make me better, not because of the uniform that they wear. Right. That's
interesting. So we had this conference. We wear coaches shirts. And this is something that Bud and I talked about around the fireplace that's right between our two backyards. The baby monitors can reach both houses, so you can sit around the fire, have some wine, hang out. So, we were talking about it one time. I'm like, yeah, because we had coaches bring it up and we've experienced it where, you're coaching class, someone walks in and they're like looking around and like trying to figure out who to talk to. And eventually, but everyone's super helpful. Eventually, one of the members sees them and is like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, you need to talk to that guy. Or they'll be like, hey, Danny, there's this dude over there confused, whatever. But I've had that experience a few times. Like, would it just be more professional? Would it be better? Again, not necessarily from making the coach seem like they're more important, but just from someone walks into the gym, who's in charge, who do they talk to? And also, from a client perspective, I think subconsciously it just feels like a more professional facility, a more professional service, right? Like they're paying a bunch of money. And if the coaches, again, I think this is subconscious, but if they're dressed the part and looking like they're, in charge, then they're more in charge, right? Or that type of a thing. So we thought, oh, maybe it's a good idea. Yeah, we should let's maybe do it. And then the girls, our wives, who are both named Jessica, very confusing, come out and sit at the fireplace. We're like, hey, check it out. We're just thinking, like, I think we're gonna like maybe do some coaches shirts. And they both act like it was the worst idea we've ever had. They're like, that's dumb. Yeah, you guys are stupid. Like nobody like it's completely like crushed our entire idea. And so we just like tabled it. We're like, we'll talk about this later. Like maybe we'll like, let's revisit this in a few months or whatever. Yeah, you girls are right. Like whatever. Fast forward 6 months later, 3 months later, whatever. We're in a coaches meeting. You guys hold coaches meetings?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So we're in a coaches meeting and then a coach brought it up. He's like, hey, sometimes I feel like I'm coaching and someone's walking in, looking around. They don't know who to talk to, or whatever. There's a new person, whatever, it's the whole thing. Do you think maybe we could like get some coaches shirts? Buddy and I started laughing and we're like, oh dude, like we actually had talked about this. Like, what do you guys think? Let's vote on it right now. Who wants to, or do you want to? Do you guys want to wear coaches shirts when you're coaching? Or do you not want to be told what to wear, just wear whatever? And like unanimous, everyone's like, yeah, we want to do it. We want to wear coaches shirts when we're coaching.
Cool.
And so then we're like, oh, all right, sounds good. Jen, collect everybody's sizes.
Cool.
Like we'll get you, and we just provide them with however many days of the week they coach. We give them that many shirts. So if someone's on the schedule once a week, they get one shirt. They can buy more if they want, but we give it to them. If they're on the schedule every single day, we'll give them 5 shirts, so that way they're not doing laundry every day. And that's how we do it. And then every 3 to 4 to 5 months, whatever, we buy get a new one or two, right? Get them a couple more. Just curious, interesting. I didn't know. As I've been going around dropping in gyms, I find out, I think it's like 50-50. Like about half the gyms that I drop into, coaches are wearing shirts and half aren't. So interesting.
That's cool that they kind of opted in. That's a good way.
Maybe that's like what I was trying to get across, like how that went down. Like, if you think it'd be good for them to wear it, and there's never been an enforcement problem ever. Like there's been a time where they're just wearing a regular Excel shirt, not a coach's one. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's probably just dirty. But like, it's not it's like that one class and I'm not even worried about it because if that same person, every time I saw them, that was going on, then I'll just give them another one or whatever, or but it's never been an issue at all. And I think it's never been an issue because they all said they wanted it. And then since then, new coaches, like as they join the staff, it's like, all right, here you go. You give them a coach's shirt and they know because they've been a member of the gym. They know the coaches wear the shirts. And I think that it might, in a way, help coaches to, I don't know if I want to say like do a better job, but like they'll do a pretty good job all the time. But, I think it is a little, I'll tell you this, man, like I'm working out in one class and I know I'm going to be coaching afterwards and I go in the office and change my shirt or whatever. You do a little bit feel like you're going to the phone booth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, like you're like, okay, I'm ready. Like now I'm here. This is what I'm doing now. It's almost like, it's like if you always work at one spot in your house, then you can work from home and not feel like you're always working. It's like, that's my work chair. It's like compartmentalizing. It's like you put on the shirt and you're like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking on. Hope you guys are ready. So, yeah.
Cool. I like it.
Ending here on a quick little lightning round. So don't think too much. Just the truth. What are you thinking? Here we go. What is the best gym event you have ever seen? Wes?
It's our white that we've ever done, that I've ever seen.
Yeah, you've ever seen, done, whatever. Best gym event.
It's our white elephant gift exchange we do every year. And it's a cookie competition at the same time. And the drinking team ranks the cookies and then we give away the white elephant. It's awesome. It's the best. Blair,
what's your favorite event?
That made me think of just this year we did a St. Patrick's Day beer mile. Downtown Sacramento, and it was in partner with the Fox and Goose, which is like the English
Fox
pub.
Goose is awesome.
Yeah,
surprised that's not the last time you threw up.
No, that's right. I held it down.
We do a Valentine's Day wad and mimosa thing, Valentine's Day brunch, and so they bring down their spouse. A lot of them that doesn't go to the gym yet. Anyway, they do a little partner workout together where they have to like hold a kettlebell at the same time, like, corny shit. And then afterwards we provide brunch and mimosas. So,
Sweet.
All right. I wasn't going to go, but then I got inspired. I'm like, oh, this is fun to talk about. I'm going to get in there. Biggest culture killer, Wes?
Oh man. I feel like somebody who gossips in the gym about other
Gossip.
people can be pretty bad. Yeah.
Blair, biggest culture killer?
Rude coach, demeaning coach.
Oh,
Demeaning
yeah.
coach. Yeah, those are both
Yeah.
I'm on board with both those. Most underrated thing a coach does for their members, Wes.
Oh, know their names.
Yeah, man. That should be like number one, right? Number one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
Blair,
pretty underrated.
most underrated thing a coach does?
I would say that it's giving people permission to succeed in things. A lot of times coaches focus on correcting what's wrong, but a lot of times what people need to hear is that it's possible for them to try something that maybe they can't do.
Oh yeah. I'm just gonna say presence. Like you're working out in the class. If I'm working out this morning, 8:30, when Buddy was within 10 feet of me, my plank was a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm pinching the
Yeah.
cheeks, I'm doing the whole thing, right? No, it's present. All right. Most unacceptable thing you've seen in a gym, Wes.
Oh man, I had somebody go off on a coach one time in the middle of the class.
Oh man. Blair, most unacceptable thing you've seen in a gym?
I've seen it a couple times, throwing up inside the gym on the floor.
Like they don't know that they could just
Like,
like
couldn't make
they
it.
couldn't make it 10 feet to the
Oh,
door.
dude,
Like,
this is my guy. You guys know him, and he's gotten a lot better at it. So Matt Rattay has this like involuntary thing that happens from like his days as a wrestler, and like he would feel it coming, and he just would like not stop. And I'm like, bro, you got
That's
to
not
go.
cool. It's not cool, man.
Feel it happening. You have to stop.
Yes.
you gotta document that. And like if he's gone the longest he's ever gone before, have him ring the PR bell.
Yeah.
Like we've
Yeah,
got
there
like
you
3
go.
months without vomiting indoors.
I mean, he's like a phenomenal athlete, like one of the best coaches I've like ever been around when it comes to like barbell stuff. The way he controls the class.
Yeah.
But he had this thing as an athlete where he just wouldn't stop. He's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna puke over here. Like, okay. It's like, no, can't do that.
Minus people wearing sunglasses indoors. All right. And the last thing, here we go. The song that instantly changes class energy. Wes, what comes on the radio that just changes class energy?
Oh man, Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine gets people going.
100%. Blair, you got something?
Oh man. Maybe California Love, Tupac.
California, yeah, it's a whole different energy, but that's absolutely true. Nothing better than just being nuts deep in a workout and all of a sudden this song comes on. You can just totally disassociate and just like all of a sudden the workout's easier. You're just, you know what I mean? Like you're grooving. All right. That's a wrap for this episode of Not in My Box. A big thanks to Blair Morrison and Wes Piatt for proving the gym culture is both the best part of CrossFit and the reason sometimes people think about training alone. If you overestimated your ability to tolerate people today, congratulations, you're one of us. Go buy some coffee from Caffeine and Kilos. Sign up for the online qualifier for the NorCal Classic. How long is that still open for?
Well, the workouts, yeah, it'll be probably through the end of January.
Oh yeah, go sign up early for the online qualifier for the NorCal Classic. And hit up Wes if you want your gym culture to last longer than your jump ropes outside. Share this with a coach who still writes scores on the whiteboard like these two schmoes, like it's a sacred scripture. If your gym feels a little weird, that just means it's working.